Hi, everybody. This is Marisa Akishela, and I'm here with three incredibly powerful, beautiful, enlightened, brilliant women: Laura Eisenhower, Rising Phoenix AuroRA, and Dawn DelVecchio. And it's my honor to be here. This is the mother of all roundtables, and we're here honoring the mother today. Mothering the mother, mothering God the Mother, Mother Earth, and honoring our mothers. And I just am really happy to be here with all of you. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here with all of you.
Wonderful to be here too. Thank you so much for inviting me, Marisa.
Thank you so much. I mean, we just pulled this together in less than 24 hours. So I'm really, really happy to be here. So I am going to start with AuroRA. Okay, so I'm going to read your bio. AuroRA is the author of Galactic Soul History of the Universe. She is a quantum alchemist who works with the energies of the collective of hearts and creation. These very energies and the angelic assisted her in creating aura hypnosis healing, past life regression technique that surpassed what we thought was not possible through the theta brainwave of the quantum world. Removing entities, implants, AI, which is like, we really need to talk about that, and reptilian consciousness within people. By removing the artificial within, it then allows the soul and DNA to self-heal and repair itself. Becoming sovereign beings that learn to walk in between worlds of the AI, inverted matrix, entering our true organic matrix timelines. All right, first I want to say that last night, we were emailing. We must have sent about 30 emails, right?
Yes.
We were emailing until 2:30 in the morning, right?
We were.
We were, which was incredible. And this is the amazing thing. I just ordered your book. I've been seeing you with Laura and Return to the Priestess. And our books came out within a month of each other. And we're pretty much in the same wheelhouse, which is amazing. And I'm really looking forward to talking with you about the mother. So what can you tell us about the creation of the universe, of the mother, and what is your connection with the mother, and what attracted you to the mother first and foremost?
Oh, yes. Where do we begin there? And mother began to start talking to me when I started awakening and shifting my consciousness higher and higher. I realized that she was talking to me all my life. And then once I started really shifting, past 2016 is when I started awakening, when I ran into Dolores Cannon's information really rapidly.
Oh, I love Dolores Cannon. Yes. What about her?
Yeah, she catapulted me to where I am really now. Until this day, she talks to me every day. But the mother feels very much inside of me, just like everyone else. It is a frequency that everyone can tap into within the 13 dimensions or higher of infinite love. And that's what I do. I bridge forth people to find their inner love, and I support people with all that I am and all that they do, and I help people activate their hearts. So that is, through the story she shared. I'm not sure how much you want me to share now, since you...
Share as much as you would like. I mean, what would you like to tell us? Whatever you feel is in your heart that you want to speak about.
Well, mother is, divine mother of creation. She is the creator. As I know that you speak of this as well, as I rapidly, checked you out last night after we talked. And she is who created forth from her womb, her sacred energy, which is a flame consciousness, which is also a combination of alchemy and star energy. When she birthed forth, what they explain is that from our birthing point of our galactic construct, we have a center point. Our center point is the very star, the Nazareth star that Jesus, Yeshua, was birthed upon, when that activated in his time of his birth, but it's star Sirius. And this star is the center point of a galactic port that actually transcends you from many different dimensions. And one of the main reasons why the galactic wars have occurred were because they began from star Sirius.
So this is a star Sirius that you're talking about?
Yeah, the star. Yeah, so when you're looking at our 88 constellations, though we know that there's an infinity beyond that, that is your focus point where you can connect to the dimensions of this specific galactic construct and on. So when she birthed forth her other half, which as we know, why we even see it in the chromosomes, the divine feminine is the X, right? The X, and then the masculine is missing the other half because it's a Y, right? They're a Y. So she birthed him forth from her womb, her creational energy, and then together he became the seed, the semen, that then helped her birth forth creation itself. The very first creation that they created was the fractal of Divine Mother, which would be the daughter of the flame. The daughter of the flame then went in and started creating the stars. The stars then, from the stars, they became soul groups. But the very first of creation soul group would be the angelics, you could say Elohim. However, they're not limited just to here. They also go beyond the 13th dimension.
Okay.
They can, they're multidimensional.
So would they, because the Gnostics would, when they talk about what God the Mother birth, would they be the aeons too? Would that be the same? Or would that be?
I don't know what the aeons are.
Well, that's not, I think it's the same thing, Gnostic wise.
Okay.
But anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes. No, yes. Please, if you have a question. So when the way creation itself works is that there's, you could say a ripple, when you throw a pebble in the water, there's a circle, and then the circles keep rippling out, right? And they keep multiplying and expanding out. So that's how creation began. It began in star Sirius, but then there was specifically 12 galactic constructs that then created. With these 12 galactic constructs, then there was also the 13 sacred laws of the universe that also were created from the elders of creation, the very first angelic beings of creation that were birthed forth from the daughter of the flame, and then the unity of Sophia and Crystal. So what the main thing that Divine Mother would like for me to explain is that the way that they created this universe is that this specific construct is, we talked about it in Return of the Priestess 2 with Dawn, how it is the Phoenix. Okay, so there's multiple, if you can imagine, multiple universes all parallel to one another. Every single one of them is constructed of a different organism, a different galactic sacred laws. And this universe is extremely sought out because everyone comes here because it is the Phoenix. Not everyone comes here, I'm going to correct myself. People want to come here because this is where new souls start creating from. We can't just be born and all of a sudden shift into the 33rd dimension. That's not how it works. We actually have to begin from point zero. Dimensions of 1 and 2. And then from there, as we graduate and we keep ascending out from each dimension, then we go up. Now, past the 13th dimension and on, which source is both an infinity and all dimensions, right? So the biggest thing is that she wants to explain is that the way that they created creation itself is that it's free-willed expression. These universes were created with whatever they wanted. They themselves created themselves, because at that point, you can imagine it's like she birthed out the babies, the fractals, right? And then these babies decide on what they want to do. And you can see each baby like a universe and what type of decisions they want to create within their universe. And every single universe has a different, say, god or goddess energy. Okay, but this is a goddess energy where we're at, which is the Phoenix, which is the dragon fire, the dragons. Okay. And then what she wants to really, really come very clear today is that many people think that she birthed the archons. The way it works is that once you birth your children, do you control them? No, they're their own free-willed sovereign beings. So then in each universe, they created what they wanted to create. Now, the archons themselves are a expression of we're organic as old as time. They were time and space. They decided that they were going to remove the light within them, which then removed the organic within them, within their universe.
Right.
So what happened with that is that they're on this constant high hunger that they want to feed off light in whatever forms. And then as they continue to get ancient and old, they continue to go into, they learned how to use their negative technologies and learn how to pierce through time and space to attach to different people in different universes and different dimensions. And the way that they get to people is by, they cloud them and then they get through the mind, and then people, when they make a artificial choice, a negative choice, then at that point they're consenting, and then they influence typically that choice. They're extremely powerful with the mind. And then at that point they are consenting to infringement. And that's the way they get in. They can't physically come into, well, not even physically, energetically, they can't come into universes. They only come in through people, allowing for them to attach to them. And then that's how we're in this mess that we are in, and in the universe.
So here's a question, because maybe we should talk about the archons a little bit, because I know we all have opinions about them, right? I mean, Laura, you speak about them quite a bit. So, I mean, do you think, I mean, the archons basically are AI, right? Would you say?
Yes,
Like
they're
the original source of AI.
Artificial intelligence, no soul, soulless, no light.
Okay, all right.
Because they removed all organic within them, because they decided to, in their universe, you can't control your children. They do what they want to do, because that's the whole point of us being free-willed. If mother or father were to tell anyone, hey, you can't do that in your universe, or you can't do that in your expression, then they become the very thing that that we are fighting against right now, right? We're fighting against tyranny, control. They become that. And I will tell you one story, and I will conclude it at that. Is Divine Mother once showed me that there was a time and space where the archons had pierced through our universe, which ours is the lower dimensions. This is again where the souls start leveling up and graduating out through dimensions. She had a choice, and she had a choice. Either she resets consciousness within this universe because they had infringed upon the universe, or she allows for her own creations to be free-willed and eventually remove this artificial from within. Of course, she chose not to reset her children back to zero, because everyone in this dimension, in this universe, would have been reset to zero, and our consciousness would have been wiped back to source and to begin. So that's the choice that she had, and she wanted me to express that to you all, that she loves everyone infinitely, and she could not do that to these beautiful souls here. So at that point, they closed down, say, the borders. They closed down the borders of this universe. And then when you're reading Galactic Soul History of the Universe, or when you will hear that 7 planets. There's a chapter in my book that goes.
Can you hold your book up? I can't wait to read it.
Galactic Soul History of the Universe. It's on Amazon. You can purchase it.
I did.
I will conclude it with this. So it's a long story to try to squeeze in, but yes, 7 planets from other universes. So these, in that chapter, these beings came here to assist the collective. And there were 7 planets that all held elements. Some held metals, some held, this particular one held herbs, flowers. So what happened was that when the archons invaded and they infringed upon, they became stuck just like everyone else. And then everyone needed to teach themselves how to not consent, how to shield, and how to use your I am source love light to all these infringements.
So you covered so much. I'm like, the whole thing about consent is something I really think we should all talk about after we all speak, because I think that's really huge. And the whole Archon invasion and what it means with the mother, I think is definitely something we want to talk about. So, but that was really amazing. And I really cannot wait to read your book. So, Dawn, and thank you, by the way, Aurora.
Thank you. I love you, sister. Thank you.
I love you too. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Dawn DelVecchio is the founder of the Return of the Priestess Speaker Series, now in its 2nd year. She is also the lineage bearer of the Mother Spirit 13 Moon Priestess Training. Dawn is an evolutionary astrologer, longtime tarot reader, professional writer, and a #1 Amazon best-selling author. Go Dawn. Initiated more than 36 years ago, today Dawn offers workshops, retreats, and mentorship to women around the world. All right, so I just want to tell a little bit of a quick story about how Dawn and I connected. So one night in February, I was praying to God, the Mother, about how I could connect with my sister Shevolutionaries. And then literally I checked my email and I found an email from you, Dawn. And your email started with this: I came across your work when I saw your interview with Laura Eisenhower. So immediately I wrote back to you, Dawn, and said, yes, 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 1,000 times yes. I'm so in, and I'm so honored to be part of Return to the Priestess. So thanks, Dawn. And I want to talk about your mission and what your calling is to the Mother, how you became a priestess. And basically, let's start with the Mother, because it all starts with the Mother, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your connection to the Mother and how you became who you are.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me to this, Marisa. It's great to circle with the 3 of you. My journey began when I was pregnant with my son 37 years ago. So I had a home birth, and there were other women who had home births with the same midwives, and we started a mother's support group. And what happened was someone brought in the Mother Peace Tarot deck, and then someone brought in Starhawk's, one of her books. And then we started to learn, yeah, I'm on my 3rd physical deck because they've worn out, right? And the book that goes, the book that goes along with Mother Peace, as you know, is like, it's a whole study of the divine feminine. So, you know, for me growing up, I was raised Catholic, and I just could not relate to the dogma. I came in a rebel. I came in questioning the dominant paradigm. I came in as what I feel an old soul who has lived many incarnations on this planet, really ready to graduate, but of course seeped in the 3D. So the Mother woke up for me in that pregnancy. I was only 18 at the time, but I knew I would not have a hospital birth unless it was an emergency, because I knew about the interventions involved in that. And I had, my midwives were they were partners, but not, they were business partners as midwives, not relationship partners, but they were feminist lesbian separatists. So I got an education in a lot of things, right? You know, from early childhood injections and the risks there way back then.
Wow, really? Way back then?
Yeah, not like it is now, but even then, questioning that stuff, to things like, you know, the risks of sugar, eating too much sugar, all kinds of things, natural living, etc. And of course, home births. So I gave birth to my son at home. My mother was with me. And, I literally pulled him out of me once the shoulders passed through the opening there. And
wait, you literally pulled your son out of you when you were giving birth?
Yeah. Once, the
my
midwives were right there, right? So I had really competent midwives with me, very, very capable, very experienced. So that was the beginning for me. And Divine Mother has been with me all along. And I experience her in my life in different iterations, different, what I would say, they're like facets or frequencies or archetypal energies, you could say. I mean, you could see I've got Tara up there, Isis, Saraswati, and Kuan Yin on the card right now, Mother Mary and the candles behind. And these are all archetypal energies that I have worked with, or that work through me. And what happened was, just to like really fast forward now to Return of the Priestess, because it's been a very interesting journey. So about 2.5 years ago, I literally heard in my mind Return of the Priestess. And I had been working as a professional writer and working with the internet and internet marketing and stuff for years, business coach, et cetera. So I went and bought the URL because that's what one does. So, and then I sat on it and I knew what it was supposed to be. I knew it was supposed to be a speaker summit, and I was extremely, I would say, intimidated. Yeah, I guess I was, because I knew that this was really my role, my mission, the thing that I had all the perfect skills to do, because a summit is an incredibly left brain activity. So to bring this incredibly feminine energy to this platform and to do a speaker series or a summit in a way that was very different than what a lot of the models were, was going to take a certain kind of person. And so it took me a while to get up the gumption. And as happens when Divine Mother, or when guidance, when your higher self says, this is your assignment, go for it, all of these different serendipity things come in to sort of support that. So too long of a story to tell you those many things, but suffice it to say that I did Return of the Priestess 1 last year, and Isis, the goddess Isis, has been the overseeing energy, and she was long ago, in addition to being a goddess, she was a priestess of Hathor. And through my experiences in trance state and channeling her at times, what I've come to understand is that Isis is she's also a divine mother, a virgin birth mother, but she's also the priestess that is calling us back to the temple. And by the temple, that doesn't necessarily mean a physical place anymore. It's the inner temple of the emissaries of the goddess, i.e., women who embody the priestess energy. So that's what I really started to see unfold last year. And it was incredible because the Return of the Priestess 1 rolled out right as the planet locked down. And I had the opportunity afterwards to speak with many of the women attendees. I mean, there were thousands, right? But I spoke to about 100 of them. And it was really, I had women me and start crying with gratitude, and how it was like a saving grace for them, because their whole world had been in upheaval, or they were sick of the patriarchy and working with their suit on and whatever. Our world changed. And so this came at the time it was supposed to come. Now this year, I just want to talk a little about this just quickly. What's been very interesting is that, as you know, we have had an extraordinary number of technological bizarre difficulties. And I have a crack team.
Even we had our technical difficulties, right? Last week.
That's right. That's right. And I have an extraordinary team. My tech person, she has been doing this for years. She's never seen anything like this. And so as I tune in, what I saw was we had the very first speaker on the very first day was talking about righteous rage and womb rage. And then the third speaker on the first day, her free gift was about the goddess Durga. right? Durga, who
Okay,
destroys the
perfect.
demons of the constructs of the egoic mind.
Mhm.
So what I really see here is that there is a rise in this energy that's happening with the mother right now. There is a lot that we have to clear out, a lot of distortion after all of the thousands of years of patriarchy, a lot of rage.
Yes.
And so I sat down yesterday, and I'm going to talk about this in my Facebook Live from my community on Sunday. The rage in the feminine is bottomless. The hunger for satisfaction, for something better than what we've had, is unsatisfiable. The thirst is unquenchable. We cannot go at healing and clarifying this through three-dimensional means. We have to offer it up to Durga, to Kali, to literally eat. And if you know the archetypal stories of the Hindu goddesses, the dark goddesses, this is what they do. They fight the demons of the ego and the desires of the 3D. And they literally, at some point, out of Durga's head comes Kali, who eats and laps up all the blood of the demons to keep them from multiplying. And this is where I feel like we're at right now. And so rolling out something that the way the second iteration of this has stirred up the field so much that it's manifested in these distortions in the technology. But what it is the feminine rising and the need to release the rage, and to begin to, so it clears us out enough so that we can really be those vessels for the mother in all of her faces, but in a way that's balanced and healed and whole as priestesses, and not in the distorted way that we've been taught what femininity is, or from the buried womb rage, perhaps in our own personal experience or in our mother lineage. The wombs of our mothers and grandmothers. And that's why the opening ceremony was about honoring the wombs and healing that lineage and letting it go so we can move forward into our mission to be the emissaries for the mother in this time now and the times to come, because we are facing very big changes on the planet, and some of them very potentially frightening. We need to hold a field of such sovereign strength with that loving compassion of the mother, that equanimity. And we can't do that if we are still in distortion of rage, anger, fear, etc. So I know I've gone off a little bit on a tangent, but I hope that I've created a bit of a, a ball of what it is I'm working with right now.
Well, I just have to say that what you said really resonates, not just because I'm Sicilian and Neapolitan, and there is Vesuvius and Etna in both of those places. So I've got the double volcano, right? So anyway, so I totally relate to the rage aspect. But yeah, I mean, I feel that myself. I feel that rage, and it's like how to transmute the energy, how to work with the righteous rage and make it creative instead of destructive. And then there's this whole aspect of sterility and what's going on with shedding and what it's going to do with our reproduction. So I mean, we could definitely get into that too.
Yeah.
But thank you, Dawn. I'm so happy that you're here, and everything you said totally resonates.
Thank you.
So, which brings me to Laura Eisenhower. It's my incredible privilege to introduce Laura Eisenhower. Laura, your knowledge is as infinite as the universe. You're a muse to me, you're an inspiration to me, and dare I say, you're super fun. You make the world a better place. You make everyone's lives better. You've certainly made mine better. Even today, someone said to me on Instagram when they saw our video of Zelenko, "You're friends with Laura Eisenhower? Wow." So I'm just really happy and honored, and it's a privilege to introduce you. Now I'll read your bio. Laura Eisenhower is a global alchemist, researcher, and medical intuitive astrologist. She is an internationally acclaimed speaker who has presented her work worldwide. Laura is the great-granddaughter of President Dwight David Eisenhower, and she reveals exopolitical information about his administration that has been largely held in secrecy. She is considered by many to be one of North America's leading researchers on health, exopolitics, alchemy, metaphysics, and galactic history. Laura works to free us from the 3D holographic time loop, false archonic systems, and military industrial complex, and exposes hidden agendas so we can take our power back. Feeling a calling regarding her mission since she was a child, she has gained incredible insight through her wilderness adventures, psychic development, and has been connecting major dots about how to guide us into higher earth energies. She has a deep understanding of Gaia Sophia and our divine blueprint and how they connect to the Venus transit. Earth grids, global alchemy, DNA, and ET races. Her passion is to inspire unity consciousness and bring us back to the 0-point unified field, the totality of our divine powers. So.
Oh man, it's just been so crazy. It's like, all right. So I don't know. I mean, obviously you're going to pose a question, which I don't know if you want me to answer the same sort of question you asked them, but if you want to.
Would you like to just go in, jump in?
Just jump in? Well, I'll kind of like go along with the theme that you've already asked everybody.
Okay.
Just, yeah, how I sort of connected into the mother energy and yeah, gosh, I hope I can bring the best points forward. I know we're all processing so much and there's a lot of emotion that's like right here and it's like, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, at a young age, just this thing was opening up to me. I mean, it's beyond a thing, like multidimensional, the multidimensional nature of everything. And it almost like really pulled me out of my body. It was very hard to be grounded, very hard to focus in school. So it was easy for me to be slapped labels of ADD and this and that. I'm like, you know what, just whatever. If that makes you guys feel better, fine. I'm busy and I'm working some energy over here. Eisenhower was very much present and you know, just interesting things that were signs along the way that really kept me going. And my father was very reassuring. He gave me the middle name Magdalene, and later on I was confirmed with that name. And he just, you know, really just felt I had a strong connection to that particular archetype. And the Sophia energy was coming in, but nobody was talking about the Sophia energy. And I'm just like overwhelmed constantly with like, I guess what one would call like downloads and just this feeling of, you know, total connection and an awakening to, you know, my greater mission or the reason I came here, why I incarnated into this family. And it was really, really overwhelming. And of course, nobody really wanted to listen. And eventually I just determined that I was needing to just, you know, live a double life. I don't have to explain it to anybody. I'm going to do it anyway. And it had a lot to do with going into the dark night of the soul, really, you know, understanding like the labyrinth and a lot of things that really connected me back into past lives and this initiatory process that one needs to go through in order to shed layers that doesn't serve us and all the expectations and things that outer society is putting upon us, that we go through this like journey that takes us somewhere deeper. And so really connected me into, you know, the greater love story. And I always felt this connection to the greater love story, and being a mega Libra with, you know, a lot of Libra and a lot of Pluto Scorpio, definitely felt into that archetype of, you know, I don't know, it doesn't even matter about the astrology so much, but like, it was almost overwhelming because it all had to do with this, you know, greater love story and feeling this pressure that, you know, there has to be sacred union, alchemical marriage, hierogamic union, all these different things were coming into me. And I never really read books that much. A lot of stuff was coming through. And then later on, I, you know, found things that helped me to kind of connect it all. And then meeting women like you, it just really helps to solidify it, because I just feel like we're a part of this greater sort of soul family, or just we're working many different aspects of something very important coming through. But it's not like we're just separate parts, or we're just working a particular part. There's a wholeness there. And anyway, so I really recognize, you know, the energies of Maiden, Mother, Crone, and really, you know, was running into all sorts of information that I couldn't believe. I wasn't necessarily seeking, but it was a part of my, I guess, greater intent that helped me to understand Sophia, and a name that somebody had brought to me that was majorly a part of connecting into these greater truths. It's too long of a story, but it has to do with the Philosopher's Stone and the elixir of life, that the Sophia energy as a triple goddess is Oracina with Lilitu and Dianu. So when we look at like the Tuatha De Danann and the Lilitu connected to the Melusins and the mermaid lines and all these different energies coming forth from the mother, you know, and the angelic lines and the indigo and crystal kids and things that have been put forth to also create sort of this Magdalene flame sort of soul family, where it's not like there's tons of copies of one particular archetype, but it's like there's something about the tree of life and the embodiment of that, which many ancient cultures, you know, understood, and some of the ways that they describe some of the goddess archetypes, which I studied. I wouldn't say I studied, but I got really, really in touch with them. You know, even like, you know, Ishtar, Inanna, Asherah, you know, as many archetypes as I could possibly learn about or understand. A lot just kind of coming through, and we talked about the Kali energy. So like the Hecate, the Kali, the Morganes, you know, the underworld sort of goddess energies that help to remind us that the underworld is really the creative cauldron of creation. And as much as like a Hades energy or a false king of tyranny or a patriarchal agenda, or what we're seeing with the abuse of power with tyranny, tries to keep the goddess in exile and literally like locked and trapped in her own creative power, you know, with manipulative tactics to undermine her power, when really they're just stealing it and creating reversals. So we see the Dark Mother, we see the Baphomet, we see the satanic ritual abuse really feeding on all that and feeding on our vulnerabilities. And so being in a free will universe, I feel when the differentiation of the masculine and feminine became, you know, to such a degree, and a negative ego construct kind of emerged with a sort of false light mission to sort of take us away from this divine relationship, for us to be able to have that be a catalyzing force to actually bring us back. We redeem the Lucifer energy within ourselves, which is very connected to the Venus transits, because Lucifer has been associated with the morning and evening star and Venus, but so has Christ and so has Sophia. So to me, it's completing the alchemy that this negative ego construct would maybe throw us into the underworld and try and keep us down. But then this greater force connected to true love would help us to rise like the phoenix and reclaim that divine blueprint, which is, to me, what this whole human experience is all about, is that reunion. And that reunion to me is reclaiming that divine blueprint, cutting ourselves off from the imposters and the things that put us in such imbalance, because the patriarchal agenda really seeks to cause our electric and magnetic energies to not be in sync, our masculine and feminine, our right and left brain. It gives us those distortions that you guys were talking about, and these false sort of archetypes and subpersonalities that they start indoctrinating us into, starting in childhood, you know, throwing us Barbie dolls and stuff in magazines and what we see in television, and these things that like really pull us out of our true authentic self. So to me, we're reclaiming the greater love story and realizing that moving through this darker realm where we might run into villains, imposters, narcissists, control freaks, abusers, and then there's the deeper and darker and way uglier levels of things like SRA and child trafficking and pedophilia and just all the horrific crimes against humanity and the innocent that vampire off of it, are keeping this, you know, separation, which is an illusion, the matrix being an illusion based in reversal codes that literally want to keep us locked into these very, very negative relationships, toxic relationships, whether that's with a substance, with food, with people, with family members, and all these things that like really don't serve us, that so many people are afraid to be like, all right, I'm done. I'm divorcing myself from this, because they don't realize that there's a greater love story connected to true love. And that to me is the Christ Sophia template. That is the child of the mother-father arc. And the mother energy being anchored back onto the planet is helping that reunion with the Sophia daughter that to me manifests through the Venus transits being Sophia's correction, to help to center the planetary body in alignment with the galactic core in order to allow those light codes to come in and reassure the fact that that love story and that true love never left. It's just a little bit of a lost and found, like kind of being thrown into some really, you know, scary terrain through amnesia, through feeling into the negative emotionality of what the elementals represent that have kept us in this junk DNA and in the lessons of the tree of knowledge, which is all about duality. You know, our experience of good and evil, our experience of maybe love and hate or whatever polarizes us. But because the tree of knowledge and knowledge in general has been targeted with mind control, we've gotten further and further away from the goal to reclaim self-knowledge and self-discovery, to recognize that when we reclaim our true self-knowledge, it is that divine blueprint and that restoration of the tree of life, which to me is the integration of polarity that turns our junk DNA into the treasure it truly is, which holds these different levels of alchemical marriage and hierogamic union. So to me, what we're really here for is soul development and spiritual development. And we're all experiencing an aspect of the greater love story and reclaiming sort of the triple goddess aspects and facing the dark night of the soul, and looking at what those hidden unconscious forces are that keep us down and keep us undermined or in a place of feeling less than we truly are what we are here to conquer. And when we do that, we become senior to the archonic forces that literally feed on the imbalance and feed on the pain of the illusion of separation when there's really no such thing. But we're here to kind of experience an amnesia enough to kind of forget, get locked into a programming, realize how uncomfortable it is, how actually sick it makes us, and then determine like, F off, I'm going to reclaim the true love story and it exists within me. And once we do that, we become a part of the planetary grid network. We become a part of clearing the distortions in the planetary grid network. And we help to, ignite even like the dragon aspects of the planetary grid network that ignites that, greater Kundalini that, some people think is a negative thing. And I personally don't. I feel like that's part of the Phoenix rising, and it clears our chakras and also helps to integrate them into a more whole expression instead of all this compartmentalism where, our spiritual side's over here, but, we can live a contradictory lifestyle and, be a schmuck, and that's okay, because we've been trained that ego reward is something to appreciate more than spiritual development and living in integrity and being humble to the lessons that life gives us, which is our ultimate teacher. And so the planetary consciousness and really feeling into the mother energy that occupies this planetary body and the story and the galactic history behind how the planet became what it has become, and the loss of that mother energy and the wars and the different targetings on her, help us to, realize that we're carrying a lot of the same kind of wounds. And it's not that it's a victim mentality at all, because there's levels that nobody can touch, nobody can have, but it's a part of this greater experience. So discovering that along the way and kind of doing presentations around it and sort of healing through a lot of my own traumas and tragedies by kind of understanding that, this is an initiation. This is, a chance to clear all this stuff. And we are so much more powerful than these lesser, forces that even in these kind of times that are very hard to process, we have to understand that spirit holds dominion over physical matter. And I feel that the corrections of Sophia have changed the energy signature of what even the mark of the beast represents. And we're going to see some major alchemy and some incredible miracles take place for people that realize they've gotten more caught in the net. And to me, it's part of the frequency of that greater love story, because true love to me is untouchable when it comes to things like archons, because they can't conceive of those realms. They literally just want to create wounds and self-esteem issues and the illusion of separation, because it feeds on that pain and it wants to create a level of targeting to generate that sort of pain, because that's its food source. And the minute we get a grip on it, we actually can clear our energy fields and be a walking example of a frequency that can inspire and activate people and pull them out of the worst of hell without doing it for them. It's just kind of like leading by example and living on a much more authentic and deep level, instead of this superficial personality matrix that literally is so cowardice, and brushing unbelievable things under the rug, and just kind of mocking it and making fun of it. And sure, it's really painful to have to face those realities, but that level of spiritual immaturity is, I feel like, one of the biggest problems going on right now. And without being able to treat this with, greater respect and really understanding what women like us are coming from, when we maybe support something or stand for something, it's not about right or left. We have a responsibility. We have a role. We're guardians, we're protectors, we're nurturers. And the part of us that is totally connected with the mother is here to take care of our children, to take care of the babies, to take care of the innocent, and to restore or hold a resource to help restore people to their divine innocence, so they can forgive themselves and realize that creation is unconditional. And these lower creator gods and Anunnaki sort of imposters that have caused us so much fear as far as feeling lesser than, we need to resolve within ourselves. And and reclaim what was lost. I mean, they've rewritten history. They've burned out all the greater teachings that relate to soul alchemy and what the Essenes and the original Christ Templars understood. People almost like laugh at the whole idea of being a Christed being. What, like, and this greater love story, they talk about, Jesus is the only way and this and that. And when you talk about Divine Mother, they're like, oh, that's paganism. It's so demonized. And it's like, enough already. The wrath and the rage has a lot to do with these forces that literally not only demonize, but make it very, very difficult for the mother energy to fully connect with her children. And it's just rotten. And it's, to me, a part of where we as humans need to overcome that negative ego construct that we might have bought into, because some women carry that patriarchal program. It's not about a gender blame thing. It's about, reconciling the relationship within ourselves. Are we suppressing our intuition, our nurturing capacities? Are we just power hungry and ego driven to the point where we laugh at things that shouldn't be laughed at, or get too serious about the things that maybe we should have some levity towards, and begin to step up to the plate and be true guardians and stewards of this earth and protect what is sacred? Because the fact that what is sacred, one of my favorite quotes, I can't remember who it's by, depression, isn't a mental disorder. It's an appropriate response to the desecration of all that's sacred and the bullshit that we're seeing. We need to honor why this is making us feel this way, do something about it, find a way to channel it into something to create solutions, of course. But, the pain of a mother, nobody can say, oh, you're just too sensitive. All this mockery towards it. It's like, it's freaking heartbreaking. And if we don't all come together and have each other's back and live on a deeper level to make the priority, rescuing these children from these horrific abuses and also dealing with our own traumas, then, it doesn't surprise me that there's the kind of ramifications that we're seeing as far as being genetically modified. It's like, if you're that disconnected to begin with, you're not going to be able to make choices from your greater guidance and intuition. And the mother energy is here in full force to help guide souls home, and to ignore it and to laugh at it, is very sad to witness. But anyway, you all hold it so incredibly strong. When I feel like I'm kind of losing my grounding, you're the kind of women that bring me right back. And I'm really grateful to be with you.
Well, I just want to say, Dawn, you want to say something?
Go ahead, and then I'd love to make a couple comments, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that this whole concept of the mother, the mother of round tables, I actually had this idea a few weeks ago and I wanted to do it with you guys, but I was going through a moment where I was feeling so alone and so disconnected. I didn't reach out to anybody. And then Laura, when you said, let's do a round table, and then I heard from you, Aurora, and you were like, let's do something. And I was like, wait a minute, this is it. Because this is what I envisioned. And then Dawn, you connected everybody. And I was like, this just makes sense. All of us doing this. So, I mean, I feel the same. I feel so alone sometimes and so disconnected, especially where I live. But yeah, I definitely feel that. And I feel like, so anyway, I wanted to validate that. But then Dawn, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, well, I wanted to just acknowledge all of you, really, and thank you. Aurora, the big galactic picture you bring is of such value because it contextualizes in such a big way. I'm a person who appreciates a big picture for sure. And Laura, there were same thing. You bring in the huge picture in a sense. There are a couple things I wanted to just touch on, because again, you talked about the denigration and the dismissal of the feminine and the dismissal of the mother in that way, that's part of the rage too. And the way we are really anchoring that, we have to anchor that feminine energy now as part of reclaiming the love story, reclaiming the Hieros Gamos, so that we can rise above these archonic forces, this distortion in the field. And that just kind of leads me to the sense of there's a graduation that's about to happen on the soul level. And a lot of people don't even know that it's a graduation. They are so taken over by mind control, by intellectual self congratulatory, you know, full of themselves stuff. Like the smart people, if we know who are the ones who are the most like caught up in the narrative of what's going on, the intellectuals, right?
Yeah.
The liberal intellectuals. I have a degree in feminist literary criticism. I have a degree in that really liberal left, you know, thing. But what's happening is when there's no spirit, and this is what I felt like you touched on so powerfully, Laura, was if we don't have the sacred, it's all just a bunch of silliness. It's all about how many times do you want to keep reincarnating people and doing the same nonsense over and over again? Graduation's coming, people. It's time to shed the egoic stuff, to reclaim the divine feminine and masculine within, and rise above all of this nonsense. We're in kindergarten on Earth.
Yeah, this is Earth school, and when do we get to graduate?
Yeah, and we have to rise to a different agenda, and that's a lot of what I feel like when you see all of the political shenanigans that went on in 2020 in the United States, and all of the divisiveness. When you look from that higher spiritual perspective, you see what's going on. It's literally kids throwing sand at each other in the playground. You're like, kids, let's stop. We're going to have to get out of I'm putting my mom voice on now.
Right.
Take no sand in the eyes. But this is what's happening, and people are so easy, like they get sucked into it. It's like they get a little pinky in there, they're sucked into a silly drama that has nothing to do with our divinity, with our eternity, with our connection to each other as divine eternal beings, with the fact that we all put our pants on in the morning, or skirts or whatever. We all want our children to have the best. Mm-hmm. And it becomes this 3D act that people get caught in. So we need, whether you know, for me, it's the priestess frequency. That's part of my contribution, right? Is to facilitate that embodiment for women. Whatever that spiritual path is, when we rise above and see the bigger, broader picture, and start to put some of this stuff in perspective, mm-hmm. we can bring the love of the mother and say, oh, you know, they're suffering. I mean, these people who are constantly attacking each other too, they're suffering because they're so locked in the egoic identification. Mm-hmm. And so locked into judgment and attacking everybody else, and you're to blame, and I want to be compensated for this, and you know, all of that stuff. It's like, wow, that it's still really deeply held in that matrix, and that's what makes it so easy for them not to see the forest for the trees, and to do things like accept that wonderful person who wrote Green Eggs and Ham is not acceptable.
That was just ridiculous.
The Cardi B is okay, and the Satan
cartoonist, and
yeah,
but he was
and shoes with blood in them. I mean, this is where it's like there's a complete loss of a complete dissociation, and it's because too much egoic consciousness leads to the vulnerability to be hijacked by archonic forces, by separation, divide, selfishness, all this stuff. And so what we all do in our ways, and many of us more and more on the planet as we go, we're wanting to anchor in and hold that higher frequency. That is the frequency of love.
Right. So I totally
answer
agree.
The question that we've all taken on, Marisa. Oh, but go ahead.
What were you going to say?
Oh, you should answer the question that we all took on.
Yes.
But you were going to say something first. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was actually going to address that, but I totally agree with everything everybody
said, Dawn. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, I just want to say I love what she just shared and what everybody's shared.
Yeah, I love what everybody said. So I look at it like this. I've always been connected to the Virgin Mary. I always questioned when I was in Catholic school at 4 years old, when they say, you know, God created all things. I always was like, hey, wait a minute, wait. Like, if women, you know, are mothers, how could you say, like, you know, a man gave birth to all this? It never, ever made sense to me. And realizing what happened to women. Hey, Kevin. looking at what's happened to women throughout history, that we've been marginalized, minimized, sidelined, slut shamed with Mary Magdalene, unnamed with Nerea, who was Noah's wife and according to the Gnostics, right? And looking at what happened to God the Mother, there's a line in my book, The Big Shebang, where she says, I am God the Mother and I have been Holy Ghosted. When you cross the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, that's the Mother. That's God. So, I mean, who knew that? I didn't know that growing up. And so she has been banished pretty much since the beginning. Thank you to Council of Nicaea. I mean, we all know the history. I mean, even now, look at movies where you see movies with children who have been abandoned. The mother has been killed and the children are left vulnerable. Well, that's what's really happened with the mother now. I mean, they try to kill her off, and you know what? She's back. I feel like she is rising and she's back. And together, our mother energy, our divine feminine energy, we are going to birth the new earth. That's where this is going. We are the ones who are going to make this happen. Like Laura, you always say we're the ones we've been waiting for, right? Or trust the divine.
A lot of people said that all at the same time. I'm like, I can't take credit for that. But
all right, yeah. But I heard it from you, so there. But yeah, so I really feel that, the women, I mean, we have been held back, and now this is our time. We are going to rise, and this is what we're all talking about. Aurora, with your book, which I'm so excited about. I just love the way you broke down the history. Dawn with Return to the Priestess. Laura, I mean, I've been reading about Laura and studying her. She's such an inspiration for so long. And, and I take a look at where women are just from God the Mother and the Father, and from the very beginning. And I also believe that God the Mother gave birth to the Father. Aurora, it's funny that I have that in my book as well, right? We have so many parallels. It's amazing. So
I just love that you two met. Sorry, keep going.
I know. It's I was literally emailing her last night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have global chills. Oh my gosh, I have global chills. So, going from God the Father, God the Mother to Sophia Christos, right? Again, this is the law of creation is a law of balance. We live in a world of polarity, right? But what we're about is love and balance, right? So, and then balancing the male and the female. But if you keep killing the mother, you can't have that balance. That balance was they try to recreate it again with Adam and Eve. What happened to Adam? What happened to Eve? Okay, so there's Adam, right? According to the Gnostics, he was made of clay, right? And then Eve was sent down to give Adam life. She blows spirit into, doesn't blow smoke. A lot of people smoke.
Took a big bong hit and
yes, a bong hit of spirit. It's awesome, excellent, right? Yeah, but she gives him life. She's the mother of the living. She didn't come from Adam's rib. That was just a myth to, again, divide and conquer humanity. It's like baseball, you take down the star player to take down the team. Well, Eve is a star player. She was made of stardust. And to take her down that's the first start of the divide and conquer humanity master plan. Started with Adam and Eve. And then there's Nerea, and there's Noah, and then there's, again, Asherah and Yahweh. What happened to Asherah? She was a priestess. She had her own temples. She was bigger than Yahweh. And what happened? Yahweh strikes her down. They kill her priestesses. They take down their temples. They tore down her temples, and it wasn't enough to tear down her temples. They peed on the temples afterwards. I mean, yeah. And she's mentioned 41 times in the Bible, right? Which, okay. We all know everything's been inverted. Our whole history is a big lie, right? I mean, women have been cut out of it. So, okay, so there's Asherah. And then here comes Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Again, there's the balance, right? There's the great love story. There's Adam, and there's like, you know, Jesus and Mary Magdalene were equals, and they were both had the Christ consciousness, the Sophia and the Christos. And they taught us about Kundalini, but it was about love and about balance and about restoring the planet. And they were an example. They were our great liberators, which is something that I think you said, Laura. Oh, so, okay, so that was that example. And here we are now. Like, it's up to us. This is our time. It's up to the women. I really feel very strongly about this, that, you know, this whole divide and conquer narrative that is still continuing with like mask versus no mask, vax versus no vax, you know, black, white, Republican, Democrat. I just hate this whole, like, I hate the hate, right? I'm like so over the divide and conquer everything. It's like, we need to come together as a species, save ourselves, and realize that we're not the ones who we should be fighting. It's the 1%, it's the Illuminatis, right? It's
Did you say buffoon alami?
I should have said buffoon alami. No, I said Illuminatis. Right?
Yeah, I thought you said balloonanati's or
I said
balluminati.
Bill Illuminati, like Bill.
Oh,
Illuminati.
Yeah.
Hell Gates.
yeah.
Kick him in the balls, Laura.
Yeah.
Laura said that.
Bingo to me, I love it.
She said kick him in the balls. I thought that was like the greatest thing ever. So basically that's my rage, that I'm just really frustrated with what I'm seeing. I really want to shake everybody and just say, hey, like in Moonstruck, okay, I'm Italian, snap out of it, right? Remember, like, Cher, that great role? It's like, snap the fuck out of it, humanity. You know, get it together. We need to come together and fight the big fight. We need to keep our hearts and stay human, keep our humanity, keep our hearts, and really go after, fight for Mother Earth, because we need to fight for her too. Our history and our fate is tied with her. We're celestial and terrestrial, just like she is.
Right. I mean,
So,
and we need to like really trust that too, because when we connect with nature, when we like turn to one another and we exit the matrix and we really start to work with the abundance of this earth and our greater spiritual abilities, and we realize the matrix is just like taking us in a reversal current that is literally like, oh my gosh, taking us to the next level of enslavement. I mean, people are making a major choice right now. And I mean, how are you guys dealing with, I don't know. I don't want to necessarily jump in and just ask a question, but.
No, go ahead. Let's just like talk. I mean.
Okay. I mean, and it might be too much of a common thing that I keep asking, but I mean, here we are processing all this and people are making some pretty detrimental decisions that aren't going to be easily reversible. I mean, how are you guys processing all that, you know, friends and family, and just the confusion that people are feeling? You know, what freaks me out is that people that do get it, who are well-intentioned, really are thinking they're protecting others.
Yeah.
And they might wake up one day and realize that they're now the dangerous person to be around. I mean, like, what are your thoughts?
I want to jump in here. I'll be quick because I know we haven't heard a lot from Aurora in a while either. But I really, this is where that going to the higher spiritual perspective is. We are all divine, eternal children of Mother, Father, God. And some people are going to go back on the cycle, whether it's another 26,000 years to try and graduate again. I don't know. So for me, it's like, I keep remembering, like, they're making choices right now. There's intense MK ultra mind control. It's so easy to see when you haven't been, you know, I don't have a TV. It was easy to not endure that. And to just be loving toward them, but also in terms of my own physical well-being, that of my family, there's definitely boundaries that I have to set in terms of who can come into my space or my retreats anymore, because I don't want to be exposed to any shedding, because I know what my intention is to graduate this time. And I trust and know and love them. They're all time and space are here and now and here. And in the great eternity, we are having a dream in the mind of the one, and it's all okay. And in this 3D realm, I definitely am not going down the matrix thing for another, 26,000 years or whatever it is in 3D anymore. And we will all graduate when we're ready to the next level of conscious evolution, and therefore the next level of experiences in our soul's eternity.
I love that. Aurora, did you want to say something?
Yes, it's a hard situation for everyone because you know, we hear from so many that have loved ones, and you know, some people are sleeping next to them. You know, some people have just had babies and their husband got it, and their siblings got it, their children got it that are older, and it's a situation that is really unexplainable. It's hard to express it. But the way that I see the earth and the way that this is occurring is that it is and it's also energy, so it's really hard to explain it. But when you view it from a higher perspective, you see the people who are walking their most organic path, and you see them and they're encased by, and they're standing in their sovereignty, they're not consenting. So this is truly what you all have done, and what all these beautiful speakers have done, is that you've awakened and shifted the collective consciousness in 1 year in profound ways, in infinite ways that you all have no idea. That brings me to tears, because, and especially Laura, I know you want to take credit, but you are a badass. You are a badass. Okay. And
100%.
the bridges that you have created with every single person that you had speak with you, and the timelines that you have shifted, and we all shift timelines, but honestly, it is unexplainable.
It's a team effort. I mean,
I know, but you are the main, you are the bridger, right? You are. And I know we're like that, because if somebody says that to me, I'm like, no, it was you. I always say that. And the way that
I know that.
Huh?
It's a joint mission.
Yes.
Laura, look.
I'm the same way. Trust me, I'm the same way. But when I'm viewing the timelines, when I'm watching the collective in perspectives of speaking through different forms of, say, in whichever we're speaking, I see the timeline shift. And then whenever each one of us makes a video, whether we collaborate with this person, and we are such a beautiful combination of vibrations, and every one of us carries a different frequency that then will shift the collective consciousness of timelines and timelines. This is what I'm speaking about, Laura, is that the more you speak to people, that's what it does. And the more, of course, I speak to people through my past life regressions, my goodness, they're healing, millions and thousands of entities and lifting them from earth. And you remember, Laura, what Magenta was talking about, how they will see like kind of ghostly ghouls coming out. That's what we're doing every day, is we're pulling out the dark entities that have been stuck in the inverted cycle, earthbound in many ways. So every Dawn putting this priestess seminar together, all these beautiful divine feminine focusing on the energy. And then we have beautiful Marissa, who's making, the creation story fun. And I'm not sure if it's kid appropriate, but I haven't read it, but I ordered it. But to me, like, that would be something very enticing for our young adults. Now, see, all of us are putting and shifting timelines in infinite ways. And that's what I watch from above when I'm talking to the collective from the 13th dimension, where I'm constantly at. And it's just like inspiring. And something I want to add is that, what Dawn said is that the truth is that the archons basically fear us, because we're the destroyers. The feminine are the destroyers. So and then something else that Laura said is that they feed off light, right? That's what they feed off. But what if you give them love? If you give them love, there's nothing for them to feed off. There's nothing. There's nothing that they can change. There's nothing that they can influence you. There's nothing that they can infringe upon you because you're just love. And then they can't infringe. They just cannot. They're not part of your paradigm. They're not part of your timeline. They're not part of it. And this is what we're here to inspire you of, is that the feminine within you are the destroyers of archonic artificial. And you're here to activate that. When I talk to Divine Father, he always says, is there something that he can't do? He says, Divine Mother is the one. She's the one that can do all. So awakening that within ourselves and understanding that, how we've talking about how we're the birthers of the organic timelines. We're here to inspire one another. We're here to lift one another. We're here to love one another. And this video is all about that. And these beautiful divine us feminine who are here then to activate you, that you can also have your own roundtables at home with your children, with your family, with your neighbors in whichever form. Create your own roundtables and be that inspiration. And one more thing before we move on. Sacred birthing is extremely important. Dawn, you talked about it. This is a time that you want to be birthing your children at home. Just like Dawn said, you touch your children and you pull them out onto your chest, because only your frequency is a match to the child that is being born. Okay, so we have many past life regressions through the aura hypnosis where people receive infringements through the womb, through the children. Did you all know that the system of the hospital is actually the way that they place the babies into the inverted matrix and the mother? Every system that is set up through it. And actually, the epidural is what begins to place the mother and the child into the inverted matrix. It inserts the child's consciousness into the inverted matrix. Okay, so I could talk about this for a long time, but it's time for us mothers to protect our children, because that there are gifts from the heaven. There are souls that we are here to, of course, within balance, we can't be psychotically, protective over them, but
that's the hardest part. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Go hiking in the mountains for
Yes. And that's when you send them with like a bunch of dragons, like, dragons, please take care of them. I know you will take care of them. Angels, whatever, griffins, whatever you connect with. So send love. There is a war on galactic consciousness. There is a war on galactic consciousness. I can talk about this for a long time, but I will tell you that consciousness is the most precious it's the most precious gem. And just like Marissa said, people, like mother has star energy. Souls have star energy. So they will figure out in whichever form they can, whether it's through having children through the hospitals, or whether it's through, the wombs that we're carrying now, because even the little girl wombs are the future. So they compromise and harm those because they know that they are the future of life. So sacredly, and just like our beautiful Laura Eisenhower has taught us, is not consent. Do not consent. Do not consent for yourself, for your children, constantly, all the time. I do not consent all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm buying food. I'm like, I don't consent to it, any of that. And then also one more thing is that we can go into our timelines and clear them. So say something very simple. Say that you're eating something and you know that it's covered in chemtrails and all these different things. You could, and do this with everything that you do, because you want to be most organic possible, right? So you envision it the minute, whatever it is that you're eating, all the ingredients in there, and you vision them coming out of the ground of Mother Earth, completely clear. And you reset them. And that's what you do with everything that's artificial in your life. You, with your imagination, which is your time traveling machine, with this is your power. You reset all of it to back organic. You envision it in crystalline formation. the fruits, the trees, everything that you're doing. You're like, no, I do not consent. I'm bridging that crystalline DNA, the organic blueprint over and over. Okay.
Beautiful. Wow.
I love that.
Oh, so excuse the lighting, everybody. I keep turning off the camera to try and adjust it. Now I have instead of Rudolph, I have a white nose, but that's okay.
I had that earlier. You're farther north than me, so the sun is now.
My turn.
Yeah.
How many
That was
timelines?
beautiful, Aurora. Thank you for sharing
That
that.
was beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing you said about protecting the children, I feel this is the thing about the, you know, and Marisa, you had said it earlier, like if you kill the mother, then the children are
Vulnerable.
Orphan, traumatized.
orphaned.
Yeah.
And that, you know, so when we look at that as an archetypal frequency, then we have to grow ourselves up, be our own mothers. And we know there's been a lot of stuff in the, you know, transpersonal psychology and stuff about the inner child and healing all of that, you know, from the sort of from here on the ground, so to speak. But one thing that came to me as you were speaking, Aurora, was this sense that, and to refer back to Laura, your question, you know, what do we do about there seems to be a bifurcation now of the choice being made of basically potentially to be hooked up into a Borg-like consciousness, known or unknown, even though it's unbeknownst to a lot of people, or to stay on a more, what we could say, organic timeline. And the vision that I've had all along about this before the jabs even started rolling out is all over the planet, there are pockets of people who work, and we can see, my husband's in real estate. I just bought property, so I was connected with a realtor in another area. People are being pulled to different places to seed, what I would say, seed the new earth, if you will, to come back home to Mama Gaia, to create community, to save seeds, to not necessarily just farming, but all of it, to save those skills and to be those pockets that will reflower at some point after all of this is done. And the starseed children are the ones who are coming in to actually have some of the science, the technology, the cosmic knowledge to help accelerate the reflowering. So there's going to be, who knows what's going to go down, but we're going to see some massive changes. But all over the planet, there's going to be these pockets, there already are, of people holding, anchoring the balanced energy, the natural energy, the connection with earth energy, to keep safe the essence of our divinity as divine beings in human form.
Well, I mean, it's easy. It's so easy for me to be angry and to be full of rage, right? Like I said, I'm Sicilian and Napolitan. But I mean, I kid, but I mean, I do have a bit of a short fuse. But when I think about where we are now, like I also see, like, I do see people waking up. I do see that people are pushing back. Like, you know, we talked about this, Laura, between like the battle between the Great Awakening and the Great Reset, right? And about how, you know, the more we're pushed on, I feel like many of us are definitely realizing our divinity within. I mean, that's who we truly are. And that's what they're afraid of. And that's what they're trying to take away from us. So I just really hope and I pray. And I think the more we talk, the more, hopefully, the more people will realize their divinity and fight back. And so we could all fight back and, you know, win this battle of consciousness, which I think we will win. And I have faith that we are winning, and take back our planet and be the new earth and the divine human that we were meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a saying I say, lift as we rise. Mm-hmm. And even to your point of the anger, I've been having that with all the technology stuff that's gone on with my series and stuff. It's very easy to go into that state, but I always remember that this is food for the archonic forces.
Yeah, that's what they love. They eat it up.
So, so one of the ways that we help ourselves to not fall into those states, and sometimes it is, it's moving through us, and it's okay for it to move through us, I think, but to stay locked into these states, one of the ways we unlock that knot or unknot that knot is really to come together in these ways and to lift as we rise, to support each other. So we go, oh yeah, this isn't just me all alone. I'm not an island dealing with this crazy town called planet Earth myself.
Totally.
All right. So anybody else have anything to say, or does
I just want to thank you, Marisa, for bringing us together, and also thank you for your brilliant book. I mean, if and when I ever have grandchildren one day, this book, we're reading this book for sure. This is a keeper, absolutely. I even had my husband, I was like, you've got to read this book. You've got to read this book. It's beautiful.
Incredible.
Yeah, and of course yours as well, Aurora. Very different books, and I'm excited that the two of you are going to now read each other's books.
I know, we're so similar. That's the thing. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't stop emailing her.
It's beautiful too to come together and to like see how we all have a part to play. Like we are on our missions, and our skill sets, our soul history, our family, all of it comes into play, where you start to see exactly how you're designed. And I know, Laura, you're an astrologer too, so you really can see from the astrological perspective someone's makeup, right? How they're wired and designed to do a certain thing. And we all have a part to play, we and many, many others. And that gives me hope too, from the ground point of view. Like from the higher perspective, it's like, oh, we're all eternal divine beings and we're all part of God and it's all good, but down on the ground, it's like, oh my God, people are making choices that are going to turn them into cyborgs. Oh, well, it's okay, because there's still many of us who are seeding the new earth, and it's okay. Like we don't have to get, go into the fear state about it. We're not isolated. We have each other.
I know, that's what's so incredible. This is building and growing. It's coming together. It's probably the most reassuring part of it all. And I do feel that it's the override frequency that's going to turn everything around. And the people that we're worried about and concerned about, that love, that whether, it's a mother frequency, even if it's our grandparents we're worried about and we're younger. It's that greater universal love that I feel is so anchored on this earth, that wasn't anchored as much in, our history as of, 26,000 years ago, and very much solidified 5,500 years ago with the Sumerian Egyptian wars that really disconnected us from our galactic memories. And the aqua energy of the mother really wasn't able to inhabit the planet as much anymore. And that has come through a lot. And people like Lisa Renee really put that information out there, which I fully resonate with. I can't say I can prove those dates, but it feels right when I read it. It's like the truth frequency is there, that about 5,500 years ago was when we really lost the mother energy from being able to be anchored here. And the ascension window is very much about that returning, which is validated not just with the Venus transit, but with the transits, but with the sun sign moving through the 13th sign of Fiacus, which represents the healing waters and the divine energies of the mother, really pouring into the earth, connected to the ether element, which allows the metaphorical sort of inverted pentagram turn upright again within ourselves, where we have access to things that we're not used to. So a lot of humans don't give themselves credit for having this greater access to something that can turn lead into gold and clear out our chakras and neutralize the dark weaponry and technology, and do things that are absolutely extraordinary. And it's just really not out there enough. And to me, like, seeing the mother energy kind of leave the planet, it's very similar to a traumatized person who doesn't feel like they can fully occupy their body. And the level of attack on Mother Earth with cataclysms and holocausts and genocides all across the board, especially with those that had these greater teachings, and the targeting of certain root races and aspects of those root races, and some of the more activating type of groups that have come in that aren't hierarchical, but do carry codes that can help activate others. This mass targeting yeah, it's crazy to see that people have the victim mentality about, oh, Black Lives Matter and this and that. It's like, look at the larger picture, everybody. I mean, humanity has been targeted, like Marisa said. It's the 1% we should be putting our attention on, and really understand what have they done to us. I mean, the whole idea of root races and cloister races is to rebuild the architecture of our DNA through like unity. And not meaning we all have to think the same, but basic mutual love and respect, understanding that diversity and harmony is the true way to experience oneness. I mean, the web of life of nature shows us that. And I kind of joke, and I've joked in the past, like, can you imagine if a squirrel was sitting there like wishing it was a dolphin its whole life? It's like, or hating. I mean, and I get that animals eat animals, and it's not about that, but we're multidimensional beings. So, when we leave one form, we enter a different form. And when we fear that and give our power away to something that can genetically compromise us and modify us, we're losing this greater experience to move in and out of different dimensions, which the stargates on the planet give us access to. And yeah, we're afraid of pain. And yeah, I'm sure a bunny rabbit does have the instinct to run away from something that it's going to put its jaws into it. But, the moment of pain is very temporary, and then it's off to a different experience. But physical pain to me is no different than emotional pain or mental stress. Pain is pain. We're elemental beings. We have all these different levels of ourselves. Sometimes, I've at least talked to people, and I'm sure I've thought it many times, but I'm not going there right now. But, sometimes it's like a person might prefer a broken leg over a broken heart,
I would think so. I mean, I'd rather have, well, I don't want either, so.
I know. But I mean, just like broken heart, it's like, it's when people see a person wearing a cast, they're given a lot of, sympathy, or let me carry that for you. But our emotional wounds, you can't see them, right? So the sensitivity or that concern isn't there. And in fact, people prey upon our times of vulnerability. But if it's physical, it's different. Like we're fine cleaning up the kitchen. We can recognize that when we make a meal, it makes a mess and it's going to attract germs. But when we have maybe an overload of mental thoughts, no, that's a mental disorder, or there's something wrong with you. You need a pharmaceutical. So the laws of the physical are the same in these other places, but they're not given as much respect because we can't visually see them as easy as, you know what I mean?
That's really true. Yes, I agree. That's really true. I want to talk about love for 1 second, because you mentioned the heart, right? And the whole thing about like the, right? I just have like such big love for, a lot of my friends did get it, and it's heartbreaking to me, and like, I just still believe in love, and like, I'm always going to keep an open door and give them a love injection of love, and just really just hold them in, just hold them in my heart somehow. And when the time comes, hopefully, we'll see what happens and where this shakes out. I mean, everybody wakes up on their own time, right? So.
Yes, because they're walking their individual timeline, so therefore they shall do that. And that is beautiful about love, because when you hold that love and I often in a crowd, I'll stand back and I'll watch people pass by, and I'll fall in love with every single one of them. And I fall in love with every single one of them, older, younger, whatever they are, race. And I genuinely just infinitely love them, no matter what choices they're making. And I just admire them because they're beautiful creations of this universe. And we all are these beautiful expressions of creation. So if we've learned just to fall in love with one another, no matter what, and just to hold that vibration of in love.
I love that.
Ascension would have been over a long time ago. And one more thing is that we need to celebrate. We have to celebrate, because when we anchor in that, we basically, what you're creating is the outcome that it's already happened. It's already happened. Where as creator beings, we're already manifesting that. The more that we are celebrating, then that again bursts forth the divine timeline, organic timeline of both the collective and individuals. And Divine Mother the mother, the way that I'm seeing her and feeling her and sensing her inside, and with, you know, the inner earth people that I channel and I communicate to, it's like if she was laying inside in earth right now, and she is in this beautiful womb space herself, and she has life within her womb, and she is about to birth forth. She is about to birth forth this infinite love that we're speaking of learning to fall in love with everyone, no matter who they are.
That's beautiful.
And she will birth that. And when she births that, this world will continue to keep, we're already seeing it, right? Because the minute that people try to, you know, create something false, or, right, you know, everyone's, there's so many that are talking, even like the millions that walked in London. It's just, it's an inspiration.
It is.
And this is 1 year later. And I was watching a video, and he was like, there was a man saying there was 20, a year ago, there was 20, and now there's millions. This is the proof for all of us, how much we've shifted in 1 year in consciousness and disclosure. We have to love ourselves as well with this, because we're amazing. We're, yeah.
I agree.
Oh, so awesome. Gosh.
So I just want to say I love you all, and happy Mother's Day, God the Mother God. Happy Mother's Day, Mother Earth. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Blessed be, blessed to all the mothers and all the children, because we are all children of the mother.
Happy Mother's Day. I love you all with all that I am. If you all could see what I see in your beautiful soul, oh my goodness, you all would walk around just dancing and singing, and your hair done and your dressed up, and you just loving yourself. If oh my God, that is my love for you. My I don't want to say wish, but my I'll send you a wave of love for that, to remember who you are, because you're glorious. And should we say where they can find us, Marissa?
Yes,
So
please, everybody,
since I'm talking,
everybody can be found.
yes, you can find me on risingphoenixaurora.com, and then you could also find me on my YouTube channel, Rising Phoenix Aurora, and then I am a channel to the Galactics, which the Raw and Divine Mother, as you've all been sensing, and then of course our book, Galactic Soul History of the Universe, which is 740 pages worth of the beautiful journey of our mother, our universe, and people, 38 chapters of people telling her story through their different, like Laura said, their different perspective, that then came together and told her, her story. And it's there's no words. Thank you.
I cannot wait to read it.
Incredible that you pulled that together, and all that you three have done. It's just been so uplifting and incredible to be with all of you. And I hope we can do this again soon. I just feel just an awesome, synergy. And yeah, so cosmicgaia.org, you can pretty much find everything there, like my Telegram channel, trying to move people over to Telegram. I've lost quite a few platforms, and I got some online events coming up, and you can check it all out there. So I try and keep it all kind of in one place. But thank you again. And thank you, all of you. And sorry about my shifting light and my camera going on and off, but hope it wasn't too distracting. But it's been, and I can't wait to listen to this again. I've loved everything you all shared, and I feel just really like a strong connection, feeling real solid friendships with women on a really, really deep soul level is incredibly healing, because I know we've all gone through the school systems and had to be up against the program version of this reality. And I'm just grateful, and I'll move on from, because I could keep going on, but I love you guys. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day. And even if you don't have kids, or you're a man or whatever, I mean, the mother energy is the mother energy. And there's so much to nurture and to parent and to be a guardian towards. It's a very difficult world to bring kids into, but the mother energy does not have, to me, this is what it should look like and this is what it is. It is beyond something that we can comprehend, and it's a part of the greater universal energies of creation that hold that nurturing love, you know, for humanity. Because some people are like, oh, well, Mother's Day is only for people who have had biological kids. Not even close. We all have that mother force within us, and some people are called to, you know, work out stuff or have, you know, physical children, and some are playing a role of being a mother in a much, you know, larger, you know, way. Some are trying to do both. Some are struggling with one or the other, but, you know, the thing is, it's a part of what we're made of, and it doesn't look like this. You know how some people are like, oh, this is what it means to be a goddess, or this is what it looks like to be spiritual. This goes beyond that. This is soul essence, and it's within men as well. And just celebrate the incredibleness of, you know, being connected to the Divine Mother, because she dwells within and surrounds us with this incredible creation that is abundant with, you know, all the medicines and herbs and animal spirits, and just, and it's the most awesome teacher as far as the death, rebirth, regeneration, and transformation, and how diversity can work together to sustain ecosystems. And we need to learn that as humanity when it comes to how we're going to connect on a soul level, that our differences are a blessing, nothing to argue or fight over.
Blessed be. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we can have a whole nother conversation about the divine brothers and the awakening of our brothers and the men on earth, which would be great. But in the meantime, just to wrap up for myself, this will air right when Return of the Priestess is ending, but still you'll be able to find it at returnofthepriestess.com/Dawn. Or if it gets later on, like you watch this a year from now or something, Dawn DelVecchio.com, and somewhere both the first series and the second, and by then maybe the third will already be available. So thank you again, Marisa, so much for inviting me. And Laura, it's such an honor and a joy to finally meet you, and Aurora to meet with you again. Thank you. Thank you. Really, thank you all.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I love you all.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.